like secret orders and stuff like that. Now, my understanding is as high as they go is 33 in the third degree.
Yeah.
Which is 1/3 of 360 degrees.
Yeah.
My question is, if that's so, how did they trick the black man, and how did they manipulate us, and how
No. They.
I just want to finish my question.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy that we 40 million deep, and that these crackers they the minority, and how they so organized, their infrastructure and they so dysfunctional and disenfranchised. It's like, how did we get like that? And we dealing with 360 degrees, and they only dealing with 33.
No. Okay. You got to understand general history. This earth plane that we live on, change is supreme. Whether it's change of acceleration or degeneration. What we don't understand is we think that we were in Africa or we were indigenous people for about 2 years and then we fell. We ruled for millions of years. We didn't fall. We deteriorated as an intermission. Ain't nobody tricked nothing. You see what I'm saying? Nobody didn't topple us from the throne. When the European came into existence, we were already in our senile period.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? Everything down here has to have a series of a cycle of deterioration, regeneration. That's the earth plane. And humans do the same thing. Based on the cycle of the sun and the cycle of the cosmos, and for ruling for millions of years. Ruling for millions of years. We didn't fall. It deteriorated. You just got to know history, because most of us still get our history from a biblical history of 3,000 years. We got goddamn pottery older than 3,000 years. You see? So my point here is, we ruled for millions of years. There wasn't no single thing that toppled. The European is only at this level because we gave him this particular instrument, because we were supposed to give it to him.
Right. I mean,
now, why do I say that? We knew on the temple walls in China, we knew at the Hermetic materials, we got several materials, we knew we was going to go into slavery, we knew we was going to deteriorate, we knew all of that. When we got into slavery, if we didn't preserve the knowledge through somebody, when we came out of the, there wouldn't be no knowledge for us to get. So in so many words, we were advanced to oversee this, even by using them. You see what I'm saying? So as a result, they cultivated the information we give them. They use it for themselves. As of them using it for themselves, they do good by the information. So therefore, they put it in books, and we are able to go and retrieve the information and return it back to ours. You got to look at a bigger picture. We always look at shit from a traumatic aspect of how we are wounded. And we can't think beyond our own personal wounds to try to look at a bigger picture on how this shit is. So we say, how did we fall? We don't know history. We didn't fall. We ruled for millions of years. Millions. Hell, the Egyptians plotted the goddamn stars for 40,000 years and didn't even tell nobody. Now, this is only 200 years old and it's on the decline.
He talks about the New World Order. His New World Order started 6,000 years ago. It's almost over.
You know, his New World Order see, even that's some what you call it. It didn't start 6,000 years ago. The white man was a caveman.
That's right. No, well, true. But when he came out,
even when he came out and stuff, Remember now, they didn't even rule Africa till the late 1800s, man. Wait a minute, hold on. You got to get out of the emotional shit and you got to listen to history. Africa didn't even fall into the late 1800s. Come on, man, you gotta read history. Don't be going by quotes that you done heard some shit that we did when we didn't have no knowledge. Africa didn't even fall into the late 1800s. You see what I'm saying? You know, so that whole concept, you gotta look at a global aspect of that type thing. 6,000 years ago, hell, we was on top. You see what I'm saying?
We had nuclear reactors in Iraq and all those stuff for 6,000 years.
You see, hell, if he ruled for 6,000 years, he'd be more advanced than he is now. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, he wouldn't have to lie, say he went to the moon and didn't go.
So he didn't go to the moon then?
Hell no.
So what about when they went to Mars and these places?
They ain't went no place. Look, sister, you ever heard of a white man going somewhere and not returning? Hell, if he went to the moon, there'd be a McDonald's on the moon now.
For sure. But there's no oxygen up there.
They didn't go. That's all bullshit, man.
The brother right here. But, that's one of the things. That's one of the things that
You never heard that before?
like in school, like they don't really be teaching too much. You know what I'm saying? Like what you was just saying, but how we move and how like we had like so much like knowledge.
We're naturally not gonna
like, medicine, like civilized.
They're not gonna teach it because they the fucking oppressor. They don't. How the hell that whole oppressor gonna teach you something?
See, but on the flip side of that same.
Yeah. Bobby. Any questions? Well, yeah.
Different. Hold on. Anybody different, man?
Yeah, you go, brother. What's that?
One question. I'm next after him. I never asked no question.
I'm in college, so what do you have to say about like,
Huh?
What do you have to say about black men like getting college education and all that?
The nigga factor.
What I say? What?
In college. He say I'm in college.
Yeah.
I might say.
No. What I'm trying to do to you is try to understand this. But what I say about college education, about you asking me.
Should I get a college education?
Yes, but understand the difference between a college training and a college education.
That's right.
You cannot get a college education. You can get a college training. There's a difference. An education, that's the difference. You go get trained for a particular course for a particular career. Understand the difference. A college education, you can only educate yourself by having access to the materials that you want and need to learn. You see what I'm saying? So understand the difference about being trained. I was college trained. All the stuff that I'm giving you right now, I got after college, and I stayed in that motherfucker for 8 years and didn't learn nothing. But I was trained in my particular field without my degree that was going to be my career. So there's a difference between a college. College education is not allowed to the masses. College training, they might call it an education system. Even Gandhi said, Western education, that would be a good idea. As to say, you don't have no education. So there's a training. You see what I'm saying? There's a training. And then more it's a rote learning. You pass tests to get to the next level that they want you to get to. But the only way you can educate yourself is through education, and that's a lifelong process. So you can't get an education in 4 fucking years because it's a lifelong process. You see what I'm saying? I've been studying for the last 15 years and I still study. Didn't even hit the zone until fucking damn 10 years after doing that. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lifelong study. That's what we're just saying. Just don't be confused about a training. That's how they confuse a lot of our people, by thinking that they're educated, and then and most people, once they become trained, all avenues of education cease. They don't study nothing else after that, because somebody has conferred upon them this degree, and now all of a sudden they say, okay, I'm educated. That's a trick.
That's real.
You're supposed to study from the cradle to the grave.
In the nutshell. In the nutshell.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is supposed to be good.
Can you tell me where the Chinese came from?
Or the Chinese? Two aspects. That indigenous land was black people.
China. That's what I asked you.
So if there is a part, it's a part of climate adaptability or a mixture with Indo-Europeans or whatever that came in and drove those particular indigenous black people off the land. But some of them climate adapted. They have a history of several variations of things. Some of it is some genetic shit. Some of it is climate adaptability. And some of it is, to this day, they sequester blue black people that live over there to this day.
They live over there.
Yeah.
In China?
In China.
Are they a mix of black and white?
Huh?
Are they a mix? Are they mulattoes?
No.
Partially, you could say some of the history of that. Some of it is climate adaptability also. Let me tell you another thing also, too.
Well,
The National Geographic had a map that they did in the 60s. And every phenotype which is the facial features of every race on this planet, they could trace to different tribes in Africa. They got a tribe in Africa that look just like the Asians.
Right.
And so you can see that these are some people that migrated to a certain place, and even though they might have lightened up based on climate adaptability, that's a part of the origin of where they came from and stuff like that. So that's the thing about this here too, about Africa. We keep thinking that Africa is fundamentally West African phenotype, and it's not true.
Right.
We have different phenotypes. Hell, the South African is lighter than the West African.
That's right. That's right.
So there's different phenotypes. And we have more than one West African prototype, phenotype structure. So we can see these phenotypes that can migrate around the world, and we can think these that's indigenous to that origin of that race. No, you can trace that shit back to Africa.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I observed, it's an observation I've made maybe like 5 years ago, that there seems to be something like leprosy, plaguing people.
Right.
It was, to me, from my observation, it started slowly, but at this point in time, there seems to be an acceleration.
It's good that you would bring that, because I'm seeing more and more people with this quote-unquote vitiligo or this leprosy. I'm seeing more and more black people, like you saying, walking around with that.
Yeah, so what's the,
I don't know whether it's diet. It could be from the chemtrails. The chemtrails. It can be a combination of things. It could be a combination of things, but you are right. I'm seeing more and more, and I think that's something that we should research more.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm seeing a lot of that. More and more than I've seen 10 years ago. There's a lot of people walking around with this. Too often we deal with we are sectarian people. And it also comes down to people just being comfortable. A lot of times people are too lazy to research. So they would rather level new income and knowledge that would further us in this evolution of new light of understanding, because they're too lazy to research. That's one aspect of it. You see what I'm saying? Another aspect of that is that we are trained to not accept change. We hate change. Why is that? Because remember now, post-traumatic slavery is dealing with, let us make a slave, is really let us make a child. Only thing you got to do, if you want to study the mind of black people and find out how we function, and say, what makes them tick this way, they're so fucked up, all you got to do is study the mind and the habits of children. Children don't like to study.
right?
You see what I'm saying? They like to shirk responsibility. They like to play all the time. We like entertainment. Children like entertainment. So half the time I got to go speak knowledge to people, I got to entertain to get it across. That's a child is that type of way. You see what I'm saying? We're very petty. Children are very jealous. This is my toy. So when you look at, so let us make a slave was to make a permanent child, pathological grown-up child at large. And children don't like change. You see what I'm saying? Don't like change. You see what I'm saying? So it's so it's more than just a systematic thing. Basically, they do humanize you. We're perpetual 10-year-olds. You see what I'm saying? And so just about every last one of our pathologies you can find in the realm of childhood. That's okay for a child because it's supposed to be evolved beyond that. But that's savage for black people or grown people. And they're like children like people. You see what I'm saying? They're a child like people. That is a science that was put on us to reduce us to a child like people. You see what I'm saying? That's why we accept, children will accept what you give them. That's why we accept what the greater community give us. You see what I'm saying? So that has a lot to do with it. This brother here, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, you were just talking about genetics, and I have a question because recently I know scientists have discovered that the ancient Greeks were actually, they traced their genetic roots to sub-Saharan Africa.
Yes, they are black.
And have you read The Black Athena?
Yeah.
By Martin Bernard?
Yeah.
And but now he has a critic that's out here. Her name is Lefkowitz.
Yeah, right. Mary Lefkowitz, yeah. Yeah.
Right, so I want to know what you feel about that now that these...
Two things. I've done a study. The Greeks, no, it's even more than just the text of the Greeks and the philosophy of the Greeks is black. The Greeks themselves were black. Listen to me. Even the patron goddess Athena comes from Libya. She's also known as the goddess Neith. If you trace most of their gods, you can trace them back to Kemet. Do you know, as of 1988, that 75% of Greek culture has sickle cell trait? That means they're African in origin. And now, how did they become white? A lot of that happened within the last 100 years. They went in the late 1800s. They destroyed a lot of the black statues, and a lot of the statues you see that's erected were only made in the late 1800s. That's why they don't look ruined, a lot of them. That's a contrived history. As a matter of fact, the Discovery Channel reported that they fished a 50-foot statue out of the Aegean Sea of Zeus. And some museum in Ohio bought it for $10 million. When they carbon dated it, it was 1970. So they falsified his history as to the date. They still do it. They got a channel called, I call it the White History Channel. It's the History Channel, and ain't shit on there, but it should be called a World War II channel. Every time I turn the motherfucker on, it's some old World War, some tanks running down the shit. But it's completely a falsification of history with the A&E, the White History Channel, all of those cable channels where they're showing history is just to further white supremacy. That's right. Never show nothing black. You see, yeah, what's that?
I wanted to ask you about dreams.
Yeah.
How can I make my dreams vivid, more vivid?
Several things. You could put water under your bed. That's right. You could take, if you got any electronics in your room, like TV, VCR, you take them out of your room because the ELF waves, electromagnetic fields, those things interfere with your dreams and it fucks with the pineal gland.
What about putting the plug?
I'm just saying, take it, well, yeah, unplug it. That's right. Unplug all that.
What about taking zinc?
Well, there's all types of things. Get off fluoride. That's right. That interferes with the pineal gland and dreams. You know, and take either some safe sleep aid like the Unisom, that shit works, or some valerian root or something like that. Yes. That's right. You see what I'm saying? If you want to go to health thing, and jack in that type of way, you see. So there's several ways you can do it. Then you can program your dreams by saying, I'm going to dream about this, and you tell your subconscious mind. One way to do it is you say, I'm going to dream about this, and I'm going to be aware of my dreams when I go to sleep. So you can program certain things. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, what's that?
I have a question. As far as death is concerned.
Yeah.
As far as death is concerned, when you die, let's say, you know, somebody was to die, right?
Yeah.
The morgue would come get him.
Right.
And take him away.
Yeah.
Now, I believe that energy can't be created or destroyed. So when
yeah.
you die, it's a transmutation. You just go on to the next.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that when they pick you up and take you and do, you know, everything they do to you, embalm you and everything.
Right.
Is anything that they do to you that hinders that process
no.
of transformation to the other side?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Death is the ultimate key, and basically, no, they can't stop that particular aspect. That particular aspect. Each person's soul is its own universe, so it's already intact. That other side. Fall in love with death. Death is the ultimate key. The reason why you are slaves is because the simple fact that you've been made afraid of death. Death is good. Anytime a motherfucker die, you should applaud that shit. That's right. Death should be celebrated. That's right. You see what I'm saying? So all the brothers and sisters that died, that's good. Great release. They say, the ancient Egyptians say that death is like a bird the death to the soul is like a bird that was captured in a cage and then released from the cage. That's how your soul feels when you get the fuck up out of this
That's right.
piece of shit right here you call a body.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, go ahead.
Could you speak more about in death when you die, the melanin after in your state of your resurrection? Do you know more about how melanin and resurrection of spirit?
It says the Egyptians talk about the soul carries with it a shadow. Anytime you hear the word shadow, that's called melanin. The ka, that's a form of the melanin. The ba is the soul. The shadow, it's a melanin. The soul carries, the mystery here is the soul is a particle of light. You take a match and you strike a match and you put it up against this white paper, you'll see soot come off. The soot is the melanin. That spark itself produces the melanin. So when you die, that shadow follows the soul. The soul is producing that shadow. So that's why you don't reincarnate in nothing but coming back black. Because the shadow goes to a shadow, it goes to energies that's like its own property.
So you would say even in death,
Yeah.
melanin gets stronger in death.
Yes, melanin is the shadow, the journey to the shadow realm. There's a movie called Bram Stoker's Shadow Builders that deals with that whole melanin, and that's what you see when you see the spook and the different stuff like that. Yes, yeah.
Bobby, now that we dealing with the Egyptians a little bit, Bobby, can you expound a little bit on what the Egyptians allegedly used as anatomic gold dust? The reason why I bring it up is because I read an article in the Nexus magazine.
Right, yeah.
And what I did, I remember watching the movie Indiana Jones.
Right.
When the German boys opened up that Ark of the Covenant, and the white boy put his hand in there, and he was, what did he have in his hand? Was that the anatomic gold?
What they call, was
that it?
Look, what this thing here is alchemical representation. That is nothing but another form of melanin. Monatomic, anatomic gold is nothing but another form of melanin. You ever hear the word stardust?
Yes.
That's melanin. It's called Kickin. Kickin in Egypt, heavy star material. All that is melanin. All that is melanin.
Cosmos is melanin.
Yeah, all that is melanin.
All right, because that article, I found that article kind of interesting, that white boy brought about.
Yeah.
And it just took me back to the movie.
Yeah, yeah. All that is the alchem. That is the theatrical representation of what happened. The Ark of the Covenant is in actuality nothing but the concept of the brain and all of that type of thing.